Ha! No? Uncomfortable laughter. Uncomfortable laughter. Welcome to the Hateful Geeks. It's going to be 2 hours of us uncomfortably laughing into our microphones.
You mean just like Joker?
Welcome back to the Hateful Geeks. I'm one of your many hosts, Phil.
This is Sweeney.
And I'm Andy.
And this week, after a nice little hiatus, we have come back to excitedly review what is probably one of the most controversial films in the history of cinema.
Wait, we were gone?
Yeah, we were gone.
Well,
for
I was
like
down
while.
here every week by myself then. What was I doing?
I don't know. Probably creepy Joker things. Anyway, then welcome back. This week, the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, Robert De Niro.
I was surprised about him.
Right, yeah, you didn't know De Niro was in this film?
Honestly, I didn't like read up much on this movie before seeing it. So like I didn't know who to expect in the cast other than Phoenix. Like I didn't really know who to expect.
I mean, I was super impressed with the casting decisions. But we'll talk to that in a little bit. So the basic premise here is we'll just to set the stage. This is not in the DC cinematic universe. The Joker film is 100% standalone on its own.
Right.
Dear God.
Yeah, this is their own.
What did I watch?
And I believe the director even said before, he said this movie could be a movie by itself even without the DC background to it. It could be just a story about
This would have been a
person.
good film without him being called Joker and without it taking place in Gotham.
Right.
Mr. Todd Phillips, the director.
Correct.
Well known for Road Trip, Old School, Starsky and Hutch.
Wow, he took a turn, didn't he?
The Hangover trilogy.
He went from
Date.
comedies all just to straight up to dark and maniacal thriller.
So you got the guy who made Tom Green fight a snake to make the Joker film. Good for him. This is definitely outside of his comfort zone, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Was he like an independent artist and made horror films or anything like that before this?
I don't know. Todd Phillips was an unknown until like a few years ago.
Nice. Good for him.
So yeah, this is obviously a huge undertaking, and this film has created a massive amount of buzz. Not all of it good, not all of it bad, but it is definitely a controversial film. First off, how did you guys see the film? Like, what medium was it? IMAX, regular, like in the theater? Did you pirate it? What'd you do?
I don't think there's much of I don't do much pirating these days. I retired my eye patch, so I saw it just in a Supermax, not 3D or IMAX, but like super screen, ultra screen. I guess the word they use.
I know how you saw it, Andy, because you were sitting right next to me.
I was next to you in the theater.
You didn't answer my question, though.
Well, I was letting him speak.
Let the man speak. And by the man, I mean me.
We saw it in IMAX, didn't we? I don't remember.
No.
We were in the back. When you're in the back of an IMAX theater, the screen is still like.
No, we were in a regular theater.
Okay, that's probably for the best.
Ultra screen?
I don't think so.
No.
Do you think that that had any effect on it? Like, I don't really feel like this was a visually striking movie.
I thought the cinematography was great.
I mean, yeah, but I'm not talking like it's not like. Or I'm talking like in the vein of like Avatar or like.
You don't need to see this in
extravaganza.
3D or on the ultra screen or IMAX. No. This is a straight movie house.
I got a very Taxi Driver feel from it.
Yeah, Taxi Driver, Kings of Comedy.
I think we could have watched this on like 8mm film.
Yeah,
I think it would have been better
really
8mm.
cool. It'd be like on 8mm, like the old school like vibe.
Black and white.
Yeah, that'd been neat. But it's
ironic.
It was very much like
reminds me of a
Taxi Driver.
Scorsese film, but Scorsese hates comic book movies.
I know.
Which
Don't
is
get me
hilarious
started on
because
that.
he was attached as a producer on this film very early on.
Really?
Yeah.
So it is Taxi Driver 2. He
Yeah.
basically wrote Taxi Driver
Yeah.
2.
So then
and
I'm
they
wondering
put fucking clown makeup on Travis
What
Bickle.
happened to that? He was no longer a producer, and then for him to now hate comic book
Well,
movies.
I don't think he hates comic movies. He just hated the MCU movies.
He just said
I
they're
mean-
not cinema, which
Yeah.
I completely disagree with because those were the little definition of going to the cinema to enjoy a movie for a couple
Oh
hours
my
to
God.
be.
Yeah, of course you would say
entertained.
that. That's not the definition he's using. He's talking about it
I
as
know
like an
the
auteur.
art of it all. I get what he was saying.
Yeah, but,
But
you're
in today's day
intentionally
and
taking
age,
the
why
literal
people go to the
definition.
theater, it is today's cinema.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's not exactly crying clowns flipping flapjacks in black and white, is it?
No.
So it's I can see where Scorsese's coming from, but then again, nobody's paying $20 a fucking ticket to go see like art cinema. Nobody cares. The majority of people, cinema's about making money now, and unfortunately, Scorsese. I mean, what have you done for me lately? The Departed. That was years ago, bro. I'm good. Man, it's hard to talk about this movie. A lot of people went into this going. A lot of people's biggest concerns were like, "Where's Batman in all this? Like, what's the equation of like how does he fit into this?" And honestly, that concern went out the fucking window like 10 minutes into this movie. We're talking about like one of the darkest, most just uncomfortable, skin crawling performances I've ever seen of this character. I thought Heath Ledger's Joker was anarchist. This Joker is just defeatist. It is awful. I want to say it portrays psychopathology and mental illness well. I'm not a therapist. I can't make that claim. I was fucking frightened by how like sick this guy is.
Yeah. This entire film is set immediately by just this uncomfortable. You know, you've ever been in a situation where the person you're talking to, for me at least, is like somebody I don't like talking to, right? And so you're trying to make that small talk, and you have that immediately uncomfortable feeling the entire time you're talking to them. Like you don't know what
Like
to
right
say.
now?
You don't know what to say next. You don't know like what you don't know what to do next. You're kind of like just like trying to like pass the time. You have that really weird anxiety feeling the
It's
whole
like
time.
when you say goodbye to somebody and then you realize
next to
you're
'em?
walking
Yeah.
the same direction at the same
and
time.
you have that
There's
anxiety the whole
awkwardness of-
time. This movie gave me that anxiety feeling the entire time.
This movie portrayed mental illness. Sadly, this movie takes place in the 80s, but it almost still reflects on how mental illness is treated
For sure.
today and in society. One of the best, small caption, like in the Twitter world of what somebody said was, in 1989 to create the Joker, we had to drop him in a vat of acid. In 2019, we released him to society.
Yeah. And sadly, that's true, unfortunately. And, you know,
And raised by another mentally ill person.
right. I think, you know, you understand right away in this movie that there's something not right with
Arthur
Arthur.
Fleck.
Yeah, sorry. I almost said Alfred. Then it was not right at all. Arthur, you realize right away something's not right with him, but you don't really know what it is, and they kind of keep growing on it. And it's almost like society itself is not aware that what even mental illness is. They're just treating him like they would treat anybody else. They're just treating them shitty. Like
I
everyone's
mean, he went
treating
to
everybody
therapist.
shitty.
They have an understanding. They have a basic
The
understanding.
therapist
of
does. I'm talking about like people in real life. Like,
I mean, but let's be honest. In real life, does anyone? I think that aspect of how the society treats mental illness.
Oh, yeah.
This film is very accurate.
but what I was even saying is
It's an
was-
afterthought.
It wasn't as if they were treating him poorly because he had mental illness. They literally were treating everybody shitty. Like everybody was shitty to everybody in that
Yeah.
movie. Like there was no what's the word discrimination. It was like literally like everybody was shitty to everybody.
So real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Thomas Wayne was a dick.
Yeah, Thomas Wayne, a dick. The kids stole his sign, didn't know he had mental illness. They were just being dicks. Like everyone was just an asshole to everybody.
I mean, I feel like Gotham was definitely being portrayed as like a no man's land of assholery.
Absolutely. Like everyone,
Detroit.
I mean, he gets made fun of on national television.
right? Like that was just, and they didn't stop to think maybe he has a problem, maybe something's causing this. They literally just being dicks.
Yeah, 100%. His character is just spurned by society on every level. He's physically, emotionally abused by every person he meets. I get it. I don't feel fucking sad for the Joker in this film. And if you walked away from this movie feeling bad for him,
No,
you missed the fucking point.
No, you don't feel
Yes.
bad for him for his outcome and his reaction. You could feel bad for what has happened to him, but how he handles it and his choices, no, obviously not. Like,
I mean, but he also was denied. I mean, there is a scene where he's basically told to cut funding
Yeah.
and there's no more.
Yeah,
right.
He can't
like
see his
this is
therapist
nobody
to get his
cares.
medication.
She says nobody cares about you, and nobody cares about us.
right.
If anything, this film is a gigantic PSA for why we need to pay special attention and provide proper funding to
Mental illness. Yes,
facilities.
Yes, I agree.
When you hurt your physical body, you go to a doctor. If there is something wrong with your brain, you should go to a
Right.
doctor. I don't get why there's a stigma on it.
And I didn't feel bad for the Joker. It made more or less made me feel bad as a society of how we treat people. Like that's what I felt bad about. I was like, this is reality. You know, this is how people treat other people, and that
He's
made me sad. I didn't
He's
feel
definitely a reflection of the indifference society
Yeah.
has cultivated. He is a mirror of what's wrong with the rest of
right.
us.
And to take a side note here, just to get away from maybe some serious stuff for a little second. Did you guys care? Did it bother you? I know Andy and Phil, you guys are both DC like purists. Like you love DC. Did you care seeing a Joker background story? Like, did that bother you? At any point in
No,
this movie, did you
not
feel
at all.
like I don't want to see this?
That's why I like that this movie is not in the DCU and a standalone. The Joker, part of it, the canon in the comic in the DC universe is he has more than one origin.
Right.
It is up to you. It is up to the writer. It is up to whatever aspect at that moment in time is
Sure.
which one is his
Okay.
origin.
I was kind of curious of how, because I know up talking about this movie coming up to it, we were kind of talking about that, about how we were going to finally get a background that wasn't dropping in bad and acid, right?
Yeah.
We're actually going to see a build up to a Joker, and how that would affect your own mythos, your own ideology of the Joker.
This felt like it could have fit.
Point of order, sir. It's not acid that the Joker has dropped into. It is chemicals at the Acme chemical plant.
That
Excuse
could
me?
have been acid.
It's not acid. That is you. That's Two-Face. You're getting your villains mixed up, sir. Anyway, please continue.
That was,
I agree with you.
that
I
was,
was
just
that was
saying
my
that
point.
this felt like it could have easily fit into the Nolan universe. Had this
Sure.
been Heath Ledger's origin, I could have easily bought that.
Okay.
I kind of liked Heath Ledger's Joker in that I don't think Heath Ledger's Joker was mentally.
No, not at all.
Okay.
He was
Okay, so
very coherent, very smart.
So let's get this out of the way. It's not really a spoiler, and I'm going to actually avoid. I want to actually try to avoid spoilers for this episode, at least for a couple of the big twists. And I think I know you know what I'm talking about. But he does hand out a card to people, like when
He lets them know.
He has a condition that he laughs uncontrollably in uncomfortable situations. It's an actual situation. So when we're talking about mental illness, he actually has like a prescribed diagnosed condition.
Correct.
Yes.
So for our listeners who are like, we just keep saying he's mentally ill, well, he actually does have a serious, condition that makes it not just. I would feel
And I
uncomfortable
think
in that situation.
that's one of his conditions.
One of many.
Yeah, I think he obviously has that condition where he laughs uncontrollably at awkward or uncomfortable situations.
I think paranoid schizophrenia is certainly on
Yeah,
that
he's
list.
very much, and he's also very much socially awkward in the sense that he doesn't what's the word, gather context or situational clues to that the people around him. He doesn't understand, normal,
Social
not normal. I don't want to say
behavior.
normal.
It's called Asperger's.
Yeah, is that Asperger's? Like he doesn't have like that context to go off of.
He's definitely got like a Cheesecake Factory menu size list of like different.
And they don't dive into all of
possible
them, but you
mental
definitely
illnesses.
see them.
I think the thing about this is like there are moments where you're looking at Arthur's character throughout the film, and he comes off as like innocent. Like there's a scene when he's like doing the stand-up comedy, and he can't stop laughing because he's got that condition. And when he finally gets something out, he says something so pure, like, "My mother said I should be a comedian because I don't remember I'm missing the quote. But.
Yeah, he says,
Joy,
my mother tells me
bring joy and laughter.
My mother says I should stop because I have to go to work one day, and she says, "What?" He says, "No, I won't. If I'm a comedian." That's like he loves being funny, and that's like it's like if you love what you do, you never actually work a day in your life. Is the message he's trying to say.
So I mean, you see that, and you like the way Joaquin like Phoenix delivers this is this very innocent and like almost like touching,
right?
Kind of like you kind of like and this is of course before his psychotic transformation into what he becomes.
Correct.
But as much as I want to like feel for the guy, like there are lines you don't cross. But this is also a man who was completely abandoned by the mental health system, by society, by his own mother, by whatever family else he might have had. And
another thing, you touched on the cinematography a little bit as well. I think that helps us see into his psyche on a couple of occasions. It allows us to see into how he perceives reality.
Yeah.
Right. So you have the girl that lives in the same building as him. We're led to believe that she actually likes him, and they hang out a few times. She's there with him on multiple occasions, when in fact he made it up in his head.
Full spoiler. Mad spoiler.
Well, it's a review. I mean, we're going to have spoilers.
We're going to have to spoil stuff, dude.
If I'm hashtag spoiler.
I was going to say, even just the tone of all the shots, everything was very muted, very gray, very dreary, it just added to that atmosphere of everything is just gray for him.
Have you ever seen a Darren Aronofsky film called Pi?
I don't believe so.
I haven't seen it, but I know of it.
So Pi is it's black and white. It's one of Aronofsky's first well-known films. It shares this movie definitely has like this, like I said, we talked about Taxi Driver. Mm-hmm. Definitely shares some semblance with Pi as well. It's very like you said, muted colors. It's very dark. It's grimy. Nothing's clean. Like nowhere you look, it's all dirty and just covered in grossness. Or completely left to the wayside. Hell, they open up the movie saying Gotham's covered in trash and nobody's picking it up.
Yep. And did it, maybe this was just me, but in my theater. But did you guys notice as the movie went along, when you'd have certain dialogue between him and other characters, did you almost hear like a shell-shocked echo to it? Like almost like to me, it sounded like it was almost like you were in a little bit of an echo chamber, like he was perceiving things differently.
I don't know if we had anything like that in our theater.
Yeah,
I kind of noticed as the movie went along. It didn't start at the beginning. As the movie went along, I almost heard like the sound difference. It was almost like a muted echo. Like it almost sounded like it was like closed in around him.
I mean, there's definitely levels of like you can tell right off the bat. Arthur is not a reliable narrator in any way, shape, or form. This is not a person who, granted, he's the story. There is not a part of this movie where Joaquin is not on frame.
Correct.
This is his performance. We'll get this out of the way. Is Oscar worthy?
It is.
The guy went full machinist for this movie. Mm-hmm. He looked up. Somebody get that motherfucker a sandwich. Like
it was bad.
He was to look at him. The way he moved was frightening.
Yes.
It was like evil Jim Carrey.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. I think one of the moments when I was like, because I did very early on, it was like, dude, life is just chewing him up and spitting him out in a trash-ridden Gotham City before the Batman is even there. That's how bad it is. But then I think the moment is when he was on the train, which kind of starts this entire movement. Mm-hmm. He actually saves, like, this girl is being picked on by these 3 drunk fuck stains. He's like, he does something good for a moment, and then even in self-defense, kills these guys. But his choice is to then run, and it starts to just cataclysm into this whole idea of, like, he enjoys what he did. He even, I forget who it is that he tells. He says, I did something bad.
It was the mental health person that had his mother's records.
Yeah, he tells him, like, I did something bad, and I thought it would impact me more, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Like,
is that how you interpreted the subway scene? Because I took that very differently. When I was watching that scene and the 3, like, quote-unquote Wall Street Gotham assholes are, like, harassing that woman, he just started laughing uncontrollably like he always has. I don't see that as him doing something good.
No, you're right. He didn't save her.
So
it was just his actions unintentionally.
It led to that, and maybe in his mind he was like, oh, I helped her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was just super nervous and laughing his ass off, and they chose a new target.
Yes.
Well, I think It was just that, like, the girl looked at him for him to do something, and it made him
And that's
so
when he started
uncomfortable. It
laughing.
made him so uncomfortable. He didn't know how to handle the situation, and he started laughing. And it
Sure as
worked.
shit didn't stand up and do anything.
Right.
He didn't say, leave her alone.
Yeah.
He just
No.
got really uncomfortable, which and through his own inaction, he was forced into this chaotic
Right.
action.
Yeah.
But I don't ever. I don't feel like I got the impression of like him, like
No,
coming
no,
to
no,
the
no.
rescue.
He
the
didn't. No,
Joker.
he didn't do that. So he definitely got the shit kicked out of him for it. And while getting the shit kicked out, he finally shoots one. I don't think a normal person after that moment you're going to start shooting the because everything stops. Like a normal person, you're going to drop the gun. You're going to kind of freak out. You just took a life. That's when to me, it kind of like it finally that snap that he took out something that he wanted to do, and it wasn't going to stop.
No, man, he had opened Pandora's box at that point. And you're right. He goes to Arkham and talks to the guy for the record. He's like, I totally enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was great. I totally want to do that
And
some
that
more.
even that guy on the other side of the crate right there was that grate in front of them was like, yeah, I can't give you these records. You gotta go.
Yeah. And
So here's where my biggest problem with the film comes. The cinematography, beautiful. The acting, top notch. The script, phenomenal. The dialogue was great.
Yes.
The message of this film is highly up for interpretation. There are people who are going to walk into the Joker and they're going to say, this is a dark fucking movie. Like we said, it's like Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
He's an quote unquote anti-hero.
Right.
I don't consider him a hero. He's a
no,
fucking
this
villain.
isn't like The Punisher. This is not
No.
like
This is
anti-hero. No.
This is like the story of Ted Bundy.
Right,
Like,
exactly. This is a story of a serial killer.
He's a fucked up human being. But there are people that are going to walk into this movie and walk out of it going, man, that guy had some good ideas. And those people you need to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, no, and that was my concern with this entire film being produced was it would glorify this feeling of
The villain.
yeah.
That's what he is.
Life's
He's a
been shitty
villain.
to me, so I can take it out on somebody else. Like I don't want that to ever be portrayed as
The right thing.
the right thing.
No.
It's kind of like he just
I didn't
comes
take
off
it
as
that
like
way.
this
I
like
did not.
pissed off
I did not either.
entitled
Yeah.
incel. And I think I'm glad. That means you guys are sane and I don't have
Right.
to worry about
Yeah.
you doing
No,
anything super out of the
yeah.
ordinary. But I think that's a lot. Okay, so let's talk about the Academy because let's be honest, the word Oscar has been thrown around a lot with this film.
Yes.
People are talking Joaquin getting Best Actor. People are talking about Todd getting Best Director.
Right.
Robert De Niro Best Supporting. Like the Academy, I've read a couple articles about this. The people who make the decisions of the Academy, a lot of them have seen this film. Some of them flat out said they refuse to watch it.
Right.
I'm not going to take their opinion as if you don't. You need to at least watch a film to develop an opinion on
Correct.
a film. The people that have seen it are basically saying, "Looked great, sounded great. This movie's too dark."
It's very dark.
It's people. There one actually quoted and said it should never have seen the light of day.
I don't know about
That's
that.
a fucked up. That is a huge indictment.
I think maybe, and unfortunately, the time we live in has something to do with that.
It's important to talk about
Yeah,
that.
and I think people don't want to be faced with this kind of thing right now, which I can understand. You know,
It's a hard truth.
It's a hard truth.
Unfortunately, it is pervasive in our current society.
It is very dark. It's very twisted. You're literally peering into the mind of a sociopath. Yeah, like you're literally looking into a sociopath's mind, and it's not pleasant, nor should it.
Nor
be.
should have been. Yeah. I mean, that's one person's opinion saying it shouldn't. There's the other opinions of this is going to win Best Picture of the Year. It will win Joaquin Phoenix.
So I'm in the camp of this is a hard conversation to have,
Right.
but it's one that needs to
Exactly.
be had.
And that's kind of what I was going to say is, where did you think the Joker came from? Like that mindset, that mentality, that he is a sociopath. And to take, and I know he's a comic character. I know he's been made to be light and funny in the past, but like you're literally putting that on film into a human reality.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
mean,
kind
he's
of-
always had some of those like Cesar Romero and like
Yeah.
those campy days.
Yeah.
But even after that, even the animated series, he was twisted.
Yeah.
Even in that show, they had a little bit of mentally twist, like what he had to do.
I mean, even everyone praises Heath Ledger's Joker, and he was a great Joker. he literally pitted two boats of people to blow each other up. Like, you have those moments of like,
Yeah, but the people of Gotham showed him.
right? You have that sadistic behavior, and people just don't want to like delve into the psyche behind it. I think this movie literally showed you one way.
What would it take to cause somebody
One
to be
way,
like that?
one way for
Yeah.
somebody to be that way.
I think the problem with this film, which is why people are so uncomfortable with it, is because there are parts of this movie that are trying to make you sympathize with someone
True.
that you, under no
You should
circumstances,
never.
should be sympathizing
Exactly.
with.
And I think that's where you have to be. You can't sympathize with his actions, but you can sympathize with what has happened to him, right?
Exactly.
Like,
That's where
you don't have to like be okay with the outcome, right? You can say, no, that should have never happened. You don't do that. It's not okay.
And that's what I think makes this the hardest for people to watch and ingest and to comprehend, because the villain is society. Like, do you want to know how somebody like this happens? We let it happen.
We do. We let it happen. That's the problem. Nobody stopped and
nobody
said,
wants to
this
take that
guy
responsibility.
should be stopped.
Right.
This guy should be looked at. This guy should probably be helped.
Right.
And he tells
before he does
his first
something.
therapist that, the state mandated therapist, where he says, you don't listen to me. All you ever say is, how's your job? Do you have any bad thoughts? And he goes, all I have is bad thoughts. He's literally pleading to her, like, I have bad thoughts. And she's
That's
just
a
like,
red fucking flag.
we
in the
got no
world of
funding.
therapy.
Go out. Go roam the streets.
Right. Or when he says, I finally stopped taking my medication. I feel great now. That should be.
I mean, it's because this medication is most likely depressants.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
intentionally done.
Right.
Of course he feels great.
right.
Oy.
Yeah.
The fucking friend at work at the beginning of the film who gives him a
Right.
gun.
He gave him a gun.
Yes. And then
Which.
frames him for
So
it.
I'll say this, which at the moment there, right, he's thinking, oh, this man needs to protect himself, not thinking about his mindset, not thinking about his psyche. Obviously, he probably knew he may have some issues, but thinking he needed to protect himself. That was it, right? But then
Last
later on,
blow
you're
for-
right, he threw under the bus. Like,
Yeah. Last thing you do is you give the weird guy at work an unregistered
whoa,
handgun.
I mean,
And then chuck him under the
then
bus.
blame him for trying to buy a gun off you at work. Like,
Right.
not only did you give him the means to kill you, but then you got him in trouble and fired.
Right.
Like, what the fuck were you thinking?
yeah. I mean, this whole movie is just build up after build up after build up of all the shit that went wrong on the wrong person.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't give a fuck. Motherfucker's still the devil.
Yeah,
Like,
he
I
is.
don't care. Like, you
I
should.
mean, he obviously has mental illnesses that we can't even comprehend, because all of us are that I know of are very sane people.
I feel like we keep giving him excuses, though. Like, we keep saying, "Oh, this he did." That's why I think people have been.
They're not
that's why I think
excuses. They're
there are
actually-
a sect of people who have had a negative reaction to this film because they see a guy that should, under no circumstances, he should not have a defense in court. This movie almost like gives him a defense in court. Like, oh, he's pleading insanity. Put him in Arkham. Ah, shit. That's what the entire plot of Batman.
See?
Oh, God.
But it's not a defense. It's literally he has mental issues.
And we got to see some of these everything that finally breaks the camel's back, because his mom keeps writing to Thomas Wayne. She's like, I worked with him before. We're on hard times, so I just keep writing him. And he finds out, mom apparently went and banged Thomas Wayne, and Thomas Wayne's my dad.
Once again, unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how do we know what's truth here at all?
You had
That's the
crazy
point.
raising crazy, telling crazy stories. But was there any
So-
fact to it? Thomas Wayne had his story lined up real quick.
Yeah, it's saying
I'm
like,
just saying, like, there's no proof.
Right.
And like she got thrown on the bus real quick. Like, he's a powerful man. He could have made all that up. Like, so you don't know what's
But
the
would
truth.
Thomas Wayne do that?
Why not?
But would he?
Yes.
No, I don't think he would.
He was an asshole through the whole movie.
No, that's once again, unreliable narrator, Sweeney.
So why can't you believe one side, not the other side?
No, that's the point, though. Neither one of us is right.
Right.
We'll never know.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I know for a fact that the Batman is good. And that Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne were good parents
No.
until they ate a bullet in an alley.
No, but Thomas
Yes.
Wayne is dead. And
Thomas Wayne was a good father.
that you know of, because Batman maybe
Batman's narrative.
was a child. He's like what, 8
I'll
years
trust
old?
Batman's narrative before I trust
But he was like
Joker's
8 years
narrative.
old. Like,
Eight-year-old's
when
narrative.
you're 8 years old, of course your parents are fucking saints.
What do you want me to say,
That
man?
story is actually so. Everyone said there was no source material. Even Todd Phillips came out and said, "I'm using no source material." There is many things in the Joker that is pulled from source material. Stand-up comedian is pulled from The
Yes.
Killing Joke.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thomas Wayne not being such a good guy, that was actually in the Telltale games.
Yes. Telltale did a big spin on him being an asshole.
I mean, Thomas Wayne is kind of a dick when in
And then you
Flashpoint.
have
Yeah.
Is that
random
bad?
masked dude shooting
I mean,
parents.
most people don't
But
get
would
to
he
be
have a
rich,
bastard?
powerful, and famous by being super nice.
Right.
Fair enough. I'm not defending one way or the other. I am saying that the only thing that we do have that's concrete is that Joker is unreliable.
Of course.
We cannot
And
trust him.
and I tended when I got done watching it that Thomas Wayne was telling the truth. I think because there was adoption papers and everything. So
But see,
But he could just be like seeing and hallucinating that
right,
shit.
exactly. And so in my mind too, I'm thinking, well, even if he's not seeing hallucinating that shit, Thomas Wayne is rich enough and powerful enough to make shit change.
I once again eat the rich. I you know where I come from on this
So
perspective.
did Joker.
But I do not think that you can immediately you cannot say one way or the other.
You can't. There's no way to know.
no,
There's no way to know. It is highly possible that Thomas Wayne covered up a bastard.
Right.
Many rich men have done it before.
yes,
But it's also highly possible that his mom had gone straight up wackadoo and was stalking
Very
the fuck
much
out of
so,
Thomas
yes.
Wayne, and he had to fire her. And then she did adopt this kid in an attempt to get him back in his good graces, claiming it was his.
Right.
the Joker and Thomas Wayne are Arthur and Thomas Wayne
Arthur.
actually look a little close in age for him to be like Papa.
Thomas Wayne was like, I had you when I was 12.
Yeah,
Fuck off.
come on.
We don't know how
Because
old
look at the
Arthur
age
is,
difference
though.
between Bruce and Arthur.
Well, that's another point of this whole thing is a lot of people, and I think you guys probably already heard this, but that this is not the true Joker, but rather maybe an inspiration
So I heard
for
Todd
the
Phillips
rise
say
of
that
the Joker.
he didn't confirm it. He said there was theories out there that this Joker spurned this whole
Movement.
that everybody was like praising him for there at the end. I'll get that. They were definitely on his side. That could have made a catalyst for the Joker we know
No.
that battles the Batman.
Oh my God. Ugh. They're passing the fucking makeup. I don't care. I don't care how this connects in other Batman films. The Todd Phillips has made it abundantly clear that this is a
done.
standalone. I
That
want
was
to
it.
treat it
So
thusly.
if that's the case, if he made it abundantly clear, why have the scene where he's killing Bruce's parents?
He didn't.
He didn't.
Kill his.
It was one of his.
He-
The
No,
people
but
that-
why even have that scene in the movie at all?
Because Joker made Batman.
Yeah, that's
And then
how I
Batman
took
So
it.
then
makes
it's connected to
Joker.
Batman.
Joker is literally because you know that in that universe eventually there will be a
Right,
Batman.
but why
Joker.
would you have Arthur Fleck being 40? I don't know how old he was in this movie.
say at least 50? I'm 41, sir. Do I look that?
You're also of
Yes.
competent mind and have a good health living situation.
I was gonna say he looked pushing 50.
and
to
he
me.
smoked constantly, and he was drinking or whatever constantly.
That is my problem. I just realized something. This is my biggest problem with the film. In Todd Phillips' The Joker makes Batman. Right? He inadvertently the rise of this rioting.
Right.
And then one of his followers shoots the Waynes in the alley.
Yes.
It's probably is it Joe Chill? It should be if it's canon, but that's not the point. The problem here is that Batman made the Joker. Because Batman was responsible for all of his villains' creations. So this is bullshit right off the bat.
Dude, are you
Joker-
completely forgetting the '89 movie?
Right.
Yeah.
You ever
Batman
dance
made
with the
Joker.
devil by the pale moonlight? Joker creates
No.
Batman.
And yes.
Batman creates Joker.
Batman was no, because he wasn't Joker at the time
Oh,
in the '89 Batman.
get off it.
He was.
He's still the same
Jack
person.
Napier. Jack Napier origin is already bullshit. So that isn't. Even
But I
count
agree with
anymore.
you because of my purist ways. Joe Chill creates Batman.
Thank you.
Well, that could have been Joe.
But that could have been Joe Chill under a mask.
Yeah, but Joe Chill wasn't doing it for the Joker. Joe Chill just wanted them pearls.
But even back in the film, he wasn't really doing it for the Joker. It was the movement. It was the anarchist movement.
He had a Joker mask on.
It was a
They
clown
all
mask.
did.
Everyone did.
It doesn't. Look,
That
the point
bus scene?
is that it's okay. You remember why I hate Smallville?
Was that
Because
Subway?
you can't have him fight Doomsday before he's actually Superman. It's the same thing. You can't have the Joker before there's a Batman, because Batman's the reason there's a Joker. Like, Batman's the reason there's any crazy people in Gotham. That's the whole point of Batman.
No.
Is that he went nuts and then everyone else went nuts and he's fighting all of his own crazy shit.
I don't agree with that at all.
I totally agree with that. Batman's the
Of course you do. It's in your mind.
I agree with what I just said. I'd hope so.
I'd hope so. Then why the fuck did you say it?
Bite my ass. I'm just saying. If anything, Batman's the real villain here.
Oh, get off it. We're not here to battle who's better, Batman or Superman. Anyway,
I didn't even bring up the Man of Steel. He's got nothing to do with nothing.
I know where your allegiance lies, sir.
That has absolutely nothing to do with my argument right now. My point is that in every great inception of the Batman, except for Dark Knight, because they never actually talk about his real origins, but Batman is, in some way, shape, or form, responsible for the inception of all of his villains. That's the kind of the point of Batman, is all of his villains represent a level of a type of insanity. Like Catwoman, she's kleptomania. Two-Face is schizophrenia. Joker's just anarchy and chaos. And like Penguin is superiority complex, or maybe that's Riddler.
Well, if you believe the Joker in the Dark Knight, Batman's the reason for him too, because he says, "This town, that's why I'm here. You got to kill the Bat."
You don't know what you did.
Yeah.
I don't want any of this to kill you. What would I do without you? Yes. And I think I like Heath Ledger's Joker a little bit better, because I'm not as uncomfortable with that Joker, because it's methodical, even though it's chaotic.
So
he knows what he's doing.
Hear me out. I think we saw the growth in this film from Joaquin Phoenix's character come from that innocent feeling. You knew he was unsettled. You knew he was a little crazy. And he developed into this more confident sociopath, right? So you see him towards the end be much more outspoken, not laughing uncontrollably, not having those moments. I think if we saw that character still develop, he might become what Ledger was in his films.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, anything's possible. That's definitely, it could happen.
Right. So I think that was one of my not biggest faults with the film, but one of the things like I had to set aside was we're seeing the Joker grow into the Joker.
No, I agree. Like the very end, he commits another murder.
Yeah.
And he just walks out strolling, and you see her blood like in his footprints.
Yep.
And he didn't do any of the I'm uncomfortable laughing during that scene. He was just like,
well, he was laughing at her.
Yeah.
He said, "I saw another joke," and starts singing the song, and then kills her.
Yeah,
This is very much like.
But yeah, go ahead.
To me, this is very much like the animated, like socio Joker. Like he's very.
You would see him stabbing people and laughing.
Right,
about
exactly.
it.
Like we haven't seen that on film yet.
No, we
I'm
haven't.
glad.
Yeah.
Ledger's was the closest we got.
And even then, he really didn't kill anybody.
No. Well, I mean, he did.
He killed a lot of
Killed
people.
the guy in the hockey
Right, yeah.
outfit.
Do you want to see a magic trick
Right.
scene?
Like, but you didn't it wasn't like.
Like him enjoying it.
Right. You didn't see him enjoying it.
I think I saw Heath Ledger enjoy a lot of that shit that went down in that movie. Want to know how I got these scars? Like, come on, man. Like,
But he didn't.
He got off on it. Like,
I know what you're saying. Like that that crazy, like that snap, and he's like over and over stabbing.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like
ultra violent.
Yes,
You're
like-
saying that we haven't seen an ultra violent Joker.
Ledger's Joker was very much in control of himself.
He would disagree. He would disagree, but from what we saw, yes, he
now
knew what he
Joaquin
was
Phoenix's
doing.
Joker is very much ultra out of control, could snap at any moment. Literally, like you see in the comics, where he would just randomly shoot somebody and laugh about it.
The scene in his apartment when the guy that threw him under the bus shows up with his little buddy, and that was I'm going to snap and I'm going to enjoy this, And then he just lets the little guy go.
Right.
He was like, "Hey, you're always nice to me."
To me, that was like the most
Go
like
on.
animated like series Joker. Like very much like I don't have a problem with you. You go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the animated series Joker is the way you're describing it. Because the animated series Joker is like super. Like Mark Hamill's Joker is Cesar Romero's Joker mixed in with a little bit of Jack Nicholson's Joker. I do not see a ultra violent like mass murder clown. He still does like.
No, but he had like
out of his fucking lapel.
He had a
pedal
little
and-
touch of the crazy to
Right.
him also.
Because I think because we view animated films not as the same light as like live action, and so you have
It's hard to display the type of uncomfortableness that walks.
right exactly. So
Animation.
when you see like animated characters do that stuff, you're like, oh, it's animated, whatever. When you see a live action person laughing uncontrollably, it fucking bothers you.
It sure did.
I did love his laugh.
Yes.
When he is asked to go see the boss
Yes.
and he's walking down the hallway and he gives out probably the closest Mark Hamill-esque
That was
like
close.
cackle laugh.
Very close.
Oh, be still my beating heart. That's when I was like,
And then
there's
when-
a Joker.
and he
laugh.
meet-
I love Ledger. I love him to death. He didn't have a Joker laugh. Yeah, you got his little laughs here that, but yeah, you never got that.
You never got the crazy laugh.
Yeah.
The Mark Hamill like psychotic laugh. That
Yes.
And then the fact that he immediately stopped and was like straight faced and walked away, like even better.
And when I loved that the laugh was an actual condition. It's
Yeah.
a whole new take. I like that. And I loved how uncomfortable and the timing when he was taking notes of the stand-up comedian and everyone would laugh and you got that full 2 seconds of silence and he would do his uncomfortable laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, Sweeney.
Or the scene in the bathroom with Thomas Wayne and he's laughing and Thomas punches him and he's still laughing.
laughs.
Like that's Joker. Like that is Joker.
Yeah, his laugh was probably one of the creepiest things about this film. Joaquin Phoenix throwing the laughter out was unsettling, to say the least. His performance is so unnerving, but it's so brilliant at the same time. It's hard to explain. You'd have to see it to truly like appreciate what he's doing. His movement, his just mannerisms, they're just not. They're not there. They're not human. Almost. He's almost intentionally trying to make you
His
uncomfortable.
dancing is even his dancing is uncomfortable. When he's happy and he's dancing and he's moving, you are still uncomfortable. You never feel happy with him, nor should you.
Well, and I think that's another indictment on society, right? So what we view as normal, right? He's not being whatsoever. And so most of us are used to a certain behavior that we see every day.
I don't have to accept that. I mean, I don't have.
No.
Fuck he's weird. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's against all. It's pure anarchy.
Don't blame me in
It's-
society. Fuck that guy. Like that's creepy.
No, I'm not saying it's to blame. What I'm saying is what we view every day, what we see every day.
That's why it makes it
that's
uncomfortable
our
to see,
normal,
yeah.
right? I'm not saying normal as normal. I'm saying that's our normal, right? And so everything he did or showed was completely against that grain. It's like everything about it.
Yeah, he's like an unfunny comedian, and he's trying. It's like dude, pick a new
Right.
hobby, man.
And that's all it is. We view that as it just makes us uncomfortable because it's not what we're normally seeing every day.
But do I have to accept that, even though because Arthur very much wants to be accepted, regardless of his outsider nature and how everything about him is just unsettling. But he's like, you still have to laugh at my jokes. That's like the most entitled incel bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Like, I don't have to laugh at your jokes. I don't have to feel like, I don't have to make you feel comfortable. You're laughing while people are getting like raped and murdered. I don't have to feel like I owe you my laughter or my sympathy. Like, that's fucked up. You're not a good guy.
No, he's not.
Nobody owes you shit, especially Zazie Beetz. Zazie Beetz was amazing in this film for the whole 5 minutes that she was on screen.
She was good. That relationship was a good twist.
What relationship? That's the fucking awesome
Exactly.
part about that is.
So did he kill him?
There's a lot of debate about that.
Because, like, we just see him leaving her apartment.
Yeah.
We don't know what happened, and we never see her again.
So, here's my take on this, Sweeney. You tell me what you think. I feel that it lends more credence to how we're supposed to feel about this character, which is hate him. He's a villain. He's not a good person.
Right.
If he did actually like kill Zazie Beetz and her son, because he had that incel fantasy, like you said, like where she's like hanging out with him, they're friends, doing stuff together. She's with him as his mom's dying, as he finds out that she was a liar and all this crazy shit, and he just shows up in her apartment. She doesn't have any memories of this because she's not crazy. So
It didn't happen.
So the shock of realizing that his mind has been betraying him versus her not accepting of what he thinks is reality in his mind, I feel like he would have snapped and done something that we would have hated him for. They don't put it on screen. They don't show her. No. You're right. You never see her again. Did he kill her and walk away?
Right.
It's the reason why I don't think he did. This movie at no point made you question any other killing scene that he was in. You know he's a killer. You know what he's done. Even the very end, they don't show the death on screen, but you know he did it because of the evidence that was laid out for him. If he came out and he had like blood dripping off of his hands or something like that, then I'd be like, yeah. I think because he was so infatuated with her, even at that moment, I think his uncomfortableness finally kicked in because he kind of came to as he was sitting on that couch, and when she said to get out, I think that's what happened. He was so uncomfortable, he just slinked out of there.
Maybe. I mean, that's just as valid as he killed them all and then went home. You don't know. There's no evidence to either way. Maybe there was this could have been a scene that there was like hot debate about. This is like an off-screen possible murder with no, they don't frame it. You're right. You don't see him leave with blood on his hands, but you don't see her again.
Yeah, you never
she doesn't
see her
say,
again.
"Get the fuck out," and slams the door on him. He walks out, pulls the door behind him, and makes a break for it.
He leaves on his own power, right?
Yeah.
For all you know, maybe it's done intentionally. Maybe it's ambiguous because of this argument that we're having right now. They want people to go like, did he kill her? Well, yeah, I think he did. And people are like, no, he wouldn't do that. You're sympathizing with a sociopath, whereas I'm condemning him.
I'm not. I'm saying that he didn't kill her because there is no other scene in there. I think their point was, when he killed, like, he doesn't shy away from killing.
God, I can't believe I'm going to fucking do this and quote George W. Bush, but the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, sir.
I'm not saying that he couldn't have. I'm just saying my belief right now is that he didn't.
But my belief that he did is because that scene and the end scene are almost identical to him walking out of a room and walking down a hallway, and the only difference is you see footsteps. In that scene, we didn't see his feet. So we have no idea if there was footprints of blood.
I think it can be interpreted either way. I think Sweeney's right on this one too. Like I think that you're right. I'm also right. Nobody's wrong. It just, how do you want this to go? This is why this film is good, because cinematically it is dissectable. It is auteur cinema. Scorsese would have liked this film if he would go to a comic book movie. The fact that it has the word Joker on it is superfluous.
Yeah, that's why I said that the best compliment to this is you can, if they never said it took place in Gotham and he never said, hey, call me Joker, this would have never been a comic book movie.
No, you'd never know it. And because it doesn't have any of those ties. It's not like Green Lantern was shooting down the fucking street. That stuff doesn't matter. And that's fine. But you're still playing in that playground, you're still in that sandbox.
Yeah, you are. And that's what I do like about it. I like that it takes place in Gotham. It's almost like the Black Label right now for the DC Comics. You're taking some of your best artists, your best writers, and saying, you get to do a one shot. It's not in the continuity. It's not in the universe right now. You could do whatever you want. And that was kind of like this, like, hey, while we figure out how to unfuck the DCU, go play with it. Go do what you want.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I don't want it to be part of the DCU.
We have a severe lack of Batman. And I feel like letting the Joker have a spotlight that he didn't take by force is almost irresponsible. Don't you? I don't know. Think of it this way. Think of like, let's subtract Joker and let's put in like Ted Bundy, or like let's insert school shooter here of the last 40 times it's happened in the last year. Like giving them like a vocal outlet to express their complaints with society. In their mind, it validates their actions. Do you? I mean, in this sense, giving Joker this a chance to kind of like show his point of view almost validates it for him in one interpretation.
I think the way they wrapped the film up, how they showed where he ends, that they didn't end up glorifying this. That it showed like he wasn't right. He was never in the right. And the fact that the Waynes are there, you do see Bruce. We as fans know that Joker's going to get his ass kicked eventually by this little kid that's going to grow up, become the Bat, and Joker's going to be picking up his teeth off the ground with broken fingers.
By the time Joker's 80.
But how many people has the Joker fucking killed? Robin's included. Like, and Batman never puts him down. Like, so fucking irresponsible. Like, you know what he is. Like, just fucking kill him.
We're not here to make the great debate of should Batman kill Joker.
I mean, Superman proved that you should in Injustice. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is I don't know, man. As I've already said, and this is the last time I'm going to bring this up. There is a subsect of humanity that is going to walk away from this film with the wrong interpretation of the Joker, and there are people that are concerned with, is this going to incite them? There was a movie theater shooting when The Dark Knight came out.
I know.
And the guy screamed, "I am the Joker." Like,
It's actually a myth.
Sorry?
I was reading about that. That was debunked.
That was debunked. What's your source on that?
I forget what site I was reading, but yeah, he didn't say that. There was like some facts about that because of all this stuff that's coming out where the FBI said, "Oh, we think there's credible sources that this is..." Nothing's happened.
I'm not talking
Nothing
about this film. I'm talking about in previous instances.
And but see, here's another part of me that bothers me about this is all the news are reporting is how the lack of violence about this movie has happened, and like that bothers me. Like, why are you all putting it out there? First of all, that you expected something to happen.
I mean, not gonna lie, I expected something to happen. Andy, your girlfriend expected something to happen.
And I
said nothing would.
And I agree. Like, that's the way we are, the society we live in today. We have to kind of have that secondary thought of something might happen. But why are like mainstream media putting all this shit out there? Like, I'm like, stop. Like,
I think I get what you're saying. I don't think that anyone is wishing for something to happen. But
right, like, stop.
You have to accept the reality of the situation, though. In our society, this type of shit has been happening more and more frequently since certain assholes have become in charge of the country.
I agree, 100%.
So you have to also accept the fact that while we as sane human beings, non-violent, sane fanboys, are not going to act out in this manner, there are people like that. They are going to look at this and fucking go, putting that in the old manifesto. Like, you gotta watch. I mean, I'm sorry, but
that's gonna be said about anything that they get their hands on. Period.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is my point. So this gets to the big debate: art.
Right.
We as a society need to make a decision. Are we going to censor ourselves in the fear that some asshole is going to take it the wrong way and shoot up a fucking school or a movie theater? Or are we going to continue to like allow free expression? This is a fucking double-edged sword. It's incredibly frightening. And there's no way our podcast is going to decide the answer today. And nobody will, but these are things people are talking about. And honestly, it's a valid conversation.
Yeah.
Shut up, dog.
Buzz. Yeah.
I don't want to be Captain Buzzkill. I get it. Like I said, I really enjoyed a lot of facets of this film. I think Joaquin's performance has pulled him out of the fucking wherever the hell he's been for as long as he's been.
Making music.
I get it, Joaquin. You're still a great actor, bro. Get out there and do something else. We'd appreciate it. And if you get nominated, I'll be very happy for you. Should you win? Probably not.
And like I said before, walking into this movie, I was afraid of them glorifying certain aspects of this culture. I was 100%, just based upon the society we live in today. But walking away from it, I don't think it did. I don't feel like I didn't feel. For me personally, I did not feel like it glorified any aspects of that life.
I don't think it condemned it enough, though. I think it definitely remained very much on the fence.
You're right. I don't think it condemned anything, but I also don't think it made it seem like this.
No, and I think that's what makes it the most uncomfortable for us, is because there is that aspect that society is what created the Joker in this version. And we are a part of that society. We as the viewers are society. And we're sitting there watching all these red flags pop up. And it's just like, does not in any way justify who he is or what he becomes or how he reacts or murdering somebody with a pair of scissors. Like, it's just, and that was another thing. A lot of people are like, oh, ultra violence. This is very ultra violent. That scene was ultra violent. But I would like to point you to a little movie called Logan.
Right.
But
if you want to see ultra violence in a comic book movie.
But Logan's fighting like criminals and like evil cyborgs that are like out to like genetically genocide.
It was still very
They're all like trying to commit genocide against mutants.
We were cheering a 12-year-old girl pulling 2 claws out of her hands and face fucking people with those claws right in the face. And we're just like, yes!
And they were trying to turn her into a weapon. There's self-defense, bro. Like,
I mean, I've seen horror movies with more violence.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Cronenberg films. Like,
yeah,
like there are this. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were some disturbing, violent scenes in this movie. Was it the worst thing I've ever seen on celluloid? The answer is nah, bro.
I've watched Peaky Blinders. That's a show that they do way more violence.
I've seen American History X. I've seen True. I've seen True Evil.
Oh, my teeth hurt from that.
I've seen True Evil.
That too.
So So the people are like, "Oh, this was too much violence." Like, I'm desensitized, as are the rest of you, I'm sure.
I've watched Midsommar.
Oh, God damn it! I really regret seeing that film. Anyway, but yeah. So I mean, like this. Okay, so real talk. Like, listen, let's get to the wrap up here. Is this movie going to win Best Picture of the year?
No.
When he says nah, bruh.
I think it'll be nominated. I don't think it'll win.
You think it's going to get the nod and the no-go?
Yeah. I do think Joaquin will win Best Actor.
That's what I was going to say. I think Joaquin will win Best Actor. I do not think it'll be Picture of the Year.
Yeah. Todd Phillips, I don't think will get Best Director, just probably because of how he's, unjustly, I guess, crucified for it. But he came out and said that he enjoyed making the Joker because he couldn't make funny films anymore in this woke culture, meaning he can't be crass because people are just going to get offended. And then Taika Waititi actually did a post just kind of like LOL because he's literally playing Hitler in his next
Jojo
film.
Rabbit, which I'm excited to see.
Saying you could still push the boundaries of humor.
And he listed off several movies, several different movies that were still pushing the boundaries.
I think that's the problem. Todd Phillips talking about cancel culture. He's not talking about woke culture. Being woke is a good thing. It's time to evolve. Being cancel culture, like, okay, if somebody made a tweet 15 years ago and you just hired them from a job, maybe give them the benefit of the doubt or at least make them apologize. I don't give a fuck. You don't need to fire that person. If somebody commits sexual assault 3 months ago, probably time to fire that person.
Right.
I get it. But he's talking about cancel culture. Like, let's take Louis C.K., for example. Louis C.K. ate the fucking cancel bullet for the shit that he pulled, right? That was in real time, Louis. It was not, you didn't do that shit 20 years ago when you were in college on some PBRs. You did that shit 3 months ago. You jerked off in front of a bunch of people. Like, the problem is the people that are trying to point fingers at this shit aren't really looking at details. And Taika Waititi is 100% correct. You can be funny still without having everyone want to hashtag me to you.
Right. Like, yeah, it's just because people may be a little more attentive to things that are happening in today's society, which you should be, does not mean
case in point.
Right. Does not mean you cannot still set aside some of those things sometimes to watch something that may be inappropriately funny, but still funny.
Did you watch Good Boys?
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
I still haven't seen it.
And it definitely pushed a lot about, you got to see it.
It pushed a lot of boundaries.
A lot of boundaries. And it was still hilarious.
I mean, I still want to see it. I love Seth Rogen's humor. I'm the guy who thought Sausage Party was good.
I watched Sausage Party. I thought the first half of the movie. No, first 3/4 of the movie.
I didn't even make
That
it all
movie's
the
so
way
fucking
through.
offensive. It's just crazy offensive. But that's kind of the charm of it. It just doesn't give a shit.
But you can set aside like your mindset for that moment to be like, yeah, that's offensive, but okay, it's kind of funny.
I mean, I'm just gonna get over it. I don't care. I'm watching a bunch of food, like try
It's
to
not
bang
real
each
life.
other.
Yeah.
And Edward Norton did the voice of a goddamn, like, I don't think it was a Latka. I can't remember what he was. It was Pete. Was he pita bread? It was hilarious. The whole movie. The point is that comedy is one thing. Comedy is, you can't cancel comedians for saying what they say on stage.
Right.
On stage, they can say whatever the fuck they want if they're trying to make you laugh or make you think. That is a comedian's job. If you're going to get pissed off at them for some racist shit that they did 20 years ago, I get it. You're entitled to not like them anymore. But demanding they be fucking fired is not really within your wheelhouse. Now, they did that shit yesterday, like Roseanne pulled. Mm-hmm. That's a different story. Right. We all grow up. We're all human beings. We all evolve, except for the Joker.
Right.
We're all entitled to second chances. Look at James Gunn. I would not go see Galaxy Guardians 3 if James Gunn was not attached to it. Like, James Gunn getting a second chance from Marvel Disney is smart business as far as I'm concerned.
Right. I mean, he said some shit a long time ago that was inappropriate, and he came back and said, that was me being young and dumb and
trying humor at that time.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Anybody on planet Earth has said some dumb shit 10 years ago.
Sure.
Unless you're like 9. Everybody else said some dumb shit 10 years ago. Shit that if you got thrown in your face right now, you'd probably be pretty embarrassed. You'd probably be pretty apologetic, hopefully.
Yep.
And you'd probably say, like, don't judge me. I'm a different person now. I'm a different person than I was 2 years ago.
Right.
Like, so I get it. I get where Todd Phillips is coming from to an extent. But boo-hoo, poor you. Get off your cross. Like,
right. If he made The Hangover today, I think it would still be completely fine.
I think The Hangover is still great. It holds up. I want my purse back, asshole.
What about that movie is so offensive that it can't be funny?
Look at he made fucking Road Trip. They steal a bus from a blind school.
Right.
Are you going to cancel them? It's one of the best scenes in the movie. So yeah, this is just another thing where everyone's just fighting each other. If you haven't seen Joker yet and you can handle it, I recommend checking it out. Form your own opinion. Is it worth the cost of the mission? I don't know. Do you like a Scorsese film? Do you like ultraviolence? Do you like The Machinist?
Right.
If these are things that you were able to stomach and didn't bother you, then you could probably enjoy this film. If you're a Disney fan and you like Moana and Frozen, maybe stay at home.
Right. And the teachers even warn you about that. They said this movie is not for children. It's not for sensitive people.
Yeah, not at all. This is a film that if you knew what you're going into, then have a good time. Try to enjoy the plot. If you don't know what you're walking into, don't let your friends sucker you into seeing this film like I did.
Understand you are watching fictional characters.
Fictional characters.
Like, understand that. This is not real life. This is not anything other than a fictional character.
And please, just if you're feeling upset or you have dark thoughts, please seek professional help.
Absolutely.
All right. And on that note, thank you very much for tuning into the Hateful Geeks. My name is Phil.
This is Sweeney.
I'm Andy.
And
like and subscribe and stuff and push buttons. Do it.
Sorry, I'm just really uncomfortable right now. This whole episode is really... That was actually really good, and fuck you, Andy.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!